How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another Tuesday night and another episode of Fit Down Territory featuring your presidential debate candidates, Tyler Lamb, Bahookie Montana, and at DL Stewart 503. Make sure to follow us on social. Shout us out if you guys want to talk ball. But yeah, it's another week to talk football. We're 1 month out, a little under for preseason, less than 2 months out from NFL season 2024. Where the Texans are future Super Bowl champions. So we got a lot going on, a lot to talk about, guys. What are you guys doing?
You swear you don't drink, Louie?
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid right now, brother. Us on the Super Bowl only has the Texans one game off your projection. So think about that.
Wow. Throws it back at him.
No, I'm with it. I like the confidence.
You're not ready. You're not ready for the slander.
The Saints are gonna suck.
Yeah.
So there you go. But started off strong.
NFC South today, which is a little bit of a cesspool in the league right now. But some teams are ascending, some teams are descending, some teams deserve to be featured in the new college football game. Is that giveaway still going on, Tyler?
Take it out back and
he's on fire right now. Let him cook.
Is that giveaway still going on?
Yes.
All right, so
the
we have
winner
a giveaway.
is selected the 16th.
We have a giveaway. It's going to end on this. You said the 16th?
Yeah.
So we got another week still. You can go enter. Go check out Stadium Rant Social. We're giving away a copy of the new college football game. So if you want to rebuild the most, pointless, bad college program like the University of South Florida, perhaps, you would be.
What's up, baby?
You're outnumbered, and you will regret that.
my school didn't even have a
promo. Thanks for the promo.
My school didn't even have a football team.
Publicity is bad publicity. ACC, Atlantic Coastal Conference, we're coming.
Everybody's psyched for the new college football game. So if you want a chance to win a free copy, there's some instructions on the social. So go check us out on Twitter, Instagram, giveaways on both. So make sure you're entered for a chance to win there. Man, I'm ready for that. I'm low-key excited for the next Madden, whatever. But man, I'm ready to sit down and just be heartbroken, eating way too much and way too many wings and pounding queso and just feel that Sunday night depression set in when you're in the fourth quarter of a bad Sunday night football blowout game and you're like, I stayed up for this and I have to go to work tomorrow. It's just there's nothing like it.
Yeah, it's gonna be electric.
Or when you pull the hoodie up at 11 a.m. on a Sunday and then you look at the clock, it says 10 p.m. and you're like, dear Lord, what did I do today? I lost $200. Yeah. My team didn't win. I lost every one of my fantasy leagues. Just
those are the days, dude. Those are the days.
I don't really have that many of those days.
Those are the days we live for. You'll have them. Don't worry.
They say the children.
We'll see about that, Lando. Coming for you.
We yearn for the gridiron. And part of Sundays is going to be watching the NFC South, so we can move right in and talk about them. Inevitably, you will have to somehow watch. So let's start with the reigning division champs, the Bucks. They lost they beat the Eagles wild card weekend last year, and then they lost to the Lions in the following round. So they had a pretty good successful year by their standards, especially coming in with Baker Mayfield. Dave Canales was brought over from Seattle, and he kind of revitalized that career, and he's moved on now to the Panthers, and they're kind of left wondering what comes next. So do you want to lead us off here, Bahookie? What are you seeing this year for the Bucks?
Yeah, so Bucks are my hometown team. I am a huge Bills guy, as we all know, but I do live in Tampa, right down the street from the Bucks. So I do have a huge influx of Bucks news at all times. I like the Bucks. I like Baker Mayfield. I wanted the Bills to get Baker Mayfield before they got Josh Allen. Fun fact. I used to dress up as Baker Mayfield when I went to music festivals too, and I would go and I would call myself Blaker Mayfield. That's also another fun fact.
No, it's a definite fact. I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah, I had people come up to me at festivals and ask me if I was Baker. Anyways, enough about my music festival shit. So record here. I said 10-7, and that's a game better than they were last year in the regular season. And I was going through their schedule, and they're playing a first place schedule. I still feel like they're the team that's like built the best that I'm most confident in, but strength of schedule matters in the NFL. We know how it always goes. And I have Baker Mayfield, who's one of my favorite players on the Bucs, as my most polarizing player, because I feel like as much as I like Baker and I'm a guy who will champion Baker, he's by definition like one of the most polarizing guys in the NFL. I was thinking like, who's more polarizing than him? Maybe Tua, maybe Brandon Ayuk. You either really love Baker or you're like kind of like. And so leading into my hot take, going off of the record, is that unfortunately I don't think it's entirely realistic to expect Baker to take the next step and like take this team to an NFC championship. Would be the next step. They were in the divisional round last year, and I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell of that happening. And so I feel like they're going to be in good position, and I feel like the last couple of weeks, like the wheels are going to fall off with this team, and especially the game that I have circled. I didn't choose it as my best game, but the game where I feel like I think it's week 17 against the Panthers. I was looking at this and I'm like, this is the perfect trap game for the Bucs at the end of the year, like when everything is going right. And so my hot take is I have them bottling it in like the last couple of weeks, and Baker regressing at the end of the year at like the worst time, and the Bucs being on the quarterback market next year. I hope I'm wrong about that, by the way, but that's just kind of like me being objective, what I really think would happen. And best game on the schedule, I go through the schedule, like, and I look at like the games, and I'm like, I really don't know what's going to happen here. I thought the game at the LA Chargers on December 15th, like a week 15 game. Again, it's that crunch time part of the year, going from Tampa to LA. It's about a 4-hour flight, and plus the 3-hour time difference. That's not going to be easy. And I don't know. I have the Chargers projected better than a lot of other people do. I see the Chargers as like a wild card team in the AFC. Some other people might disagree with that, but I think that's another one of those games, again, along with that Panthers game I was telling you about at the end of the year. Like, can you guys edge the Falcons? Can you not? And then biggest departure was our new addition to our dissecting division segment. At first, I was thinking about this, and I thought Ryan Jensen retiring, but he really hasn't been a part of this team for the better part of two and a half years. He's a huge locker room presence. And then I thought about it, and no, the answer to this is Carlton Davis, who got traded to the Detroit Lions, and the Lions really loaded up a cornerback between Carlton Davis and their 2 draft picks. But yeah, Carlton Davis was always a player I just admired as a neutral fan. Like he would talk shit directly to Michael Thomas's face, and in post-game interviews, he coined the term "slant boy" for Michael Thomas, and
he'll live forever for that one.
And yeah, and that's just iconic. And he was really a big part of that Super Bowl winning Bucs defense that didn't get enough credit because Tom Brady was here. So yeah, Carlton Davis all the way, definitely deserves his flowers.
Yeah, I have the Bucs going 9-8. I think they're going to be pretty similar to last year. I think the team might get a little better, but I think the first place schedule just is going to kind of keep them right kind of there in the middle. My most polarizing player, I also said Baker as one option because I just feel like you can't not talk about Baker. My second one is
choosing quarterbacks either.
Rashad White.
Okay,
is my second one. I feel like running backs are a really popular pick here. But to me, just there was a lot of inefficiency there last year. That's been highlighted, I think, a lot. Just his yards per carry isn't super good. I don't feel like he has great vision. And I think his bad play or subpar play this upcoming year is what's going to contribute to my hot take, which is Baker Mayfield's going to throw the most interceptions of his career this year. I think he's going to have his statistical worst interception year because of a need to play hero ball. He has a contract. He's not on the hot seat to like play safe and whatever. And I think you're going to see a little bit of that young, reckless Baker come back. That's going to be more it's going to be furthered by the fact that Rachaad White's not a super trustable guy to gain first down yardage. And then my game of the year for them, I think it's the Lions-Bucks rematch on the 15th. Early in the year, both teams going to be healthy. Obviously, these teams just saw each other in the playoffs. I think the Lions upgraded, and I think the Bucks are going to be a little upset. So I think that's going to be a really, really good game, good matchup there. As far as biggest departures, I don't want to steal Lamb's thunder because really that was the only answer I could come up with. So I'm just going to leave that to him for that team. You want to start with that one to kind of tie these backwards?
Yeah, I can start with that one. So the biggest departure is going to be Dave Dallas. He basically rehabbed Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield's careers in subsequent seasons, and now he's off to Carolina trying to do the same thing with Bryce Young. They did hire from within somebody on his staff. Liam Cohen gets elevated into the offensive coordinator role, so it's should be safe to say they should have a similar system as last year. So like that does play into
They said the same thing about Ken Dorsey filling in for Brian Dable, so that doesn't always happen.
This is true. That's why it's a big departure.
What went wrong there?
A lot of things.
Running out of shotgun.
The best game on the schedule. Oh, Jesus. Best game on the schedule is going to be Baltimore and the Bucks week 7 in Tampa Bay. This is actually a game I have them winning. I have them going 12-5. Could be closer to 11-6. Like splitting hairs with one of those last divisional games because they play their division a couple times the last 4 weeks. So I do think their team's going to improve. My hot take is that both Mike Evans and Chris Godwin have over 1,200 yards and 6 touchdowns on the season. And my most polarizing player, other than Baker Mayfield, is Tristan Wirfs. He's been hurt the last 2 years, I believe. If he can put together a healthy season, that should help Baker not have to play as much hero ball because the offensive line last year was not great. I forget exactly what number it is, but Rachaad White was top 5 and like getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. So that does attribute to his low yards per carry. He does have a really high yards per reception though. For a running back, I think it's at 8.6 yards per reception. So he makes his plays that way.
He's got a really good receiving game.
Yeah, but I think that's it. And I apologize for popping in off the screen. I'm trying to deal with a little cold right now, and that's that.
You want to run it into the Saints?
Dishing cold takes.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, let's move into the Saints. I can go ahead and start this one if you want. Give you a break.
Go for it. Yeah.
All right. So I'm actually where's our Saints guy? You hear sportsmanlike?
Popping over to the comments right now.
I'm gonna be the nicest one to the Saints today out of all of us, and that's saying something. I have the Saints going 6-11. I think this team is just due for regression. They're just kind of in the middle of this unwilling rebuild. They won't commit to it. They won't move stuff. I still like some of the pieces that they have. I don't feel like they've addressed quarterback. I don't feel like Derek Carr has the stamina to play an entire season anymore. And I don't think Spencer Rattler is going to be ready to go year one. I believe Jake Haener is their other quarterback, and I don't feel like he's going to be able to do what needs to be done. So I think quarterback play is going to be a big, big red flag here this year. Also, So I have my most polarizing player is going to be Chris Olave. He's obviously a really good player. He's looked at as a bona fide one. I think he still has a little bit to prove in my eyes to put himself there. That is a really unpopular take. He was drafted 11th overall in 2022.
They traded up for him too.
They traded up for him. I think I need to see him take over more games. He's a good receiver, but to be a bona fide number one, to be an elite number one, I think you have to be able to completely take over a game and wreck people who can plan for you. So my hot take is that he's going to have the worst year of all the receivers that he was drafted with, like the big names. He's going to be the worst one this year. And I think the biggest departure from the Saints is hope as a concept and an ideal. So pray for your Saints fans. The best game on their roster, I think, is going to be a matchup versus the Bucks, because I think Saints-Bucks is just always good football. These teams freaking hate each other, and that always makes players play hard and gets the fans involved. So I think both those Saints matchups are going to be good.
Word. I'm actually the lowest on consensus here. I have them going 4-13. I just, like you said, like they're trying to fight their way out of an inevitable rebuild that like they haven't really wanted to start, and they're already 2 years into it. It feels like, because like Sean Payton left, they just didn't want to retool, and now they are not looking great. Like Derek Carr does not fill me with confidence, and the offensive line is not great. Their defensive line is good, but other than Marshawn Lattimore, their secondary is older and isn't
Marshawn Lattimore is never healthy.
Yeah, that as well.
He's going to be a Texan anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Alvin Kamara is my most polarizing player because I think he demands a trade before the deadline and gets moved to a competitor. I don't think he's going to want to stick around with the way that this roster is and this organization is going currently. My hot take is Dennis Allen gets fired mid-season. Best game on the schedule for the Saints. I thought I wrote this down. I guess I didn't. I would say it is let's see here, maybe against like the Rams or Green Bay in weeks 13 and 16. Both of those games, which they will lose, as far as I'm concerned. They didn't really lose a bunch of players or staff like this offseason, so like I didn't really have a great take there. So, Bahookie, go for it.
Yeah, I'll start with that one. The biggest departure was the one that was toughest for me. I had to take a deep dive in here because offhand, who do I know that left the Saints? Michael Thomas. Is that really a big departure at this point? No, not really. I mean, he hasn't played in like 2 or 3 years at this point. And I've tried to fight and lobby for Michael Thomas. I'm done doing that. Isaac Yiadom. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Maybe
cornerback. And you touched on this, Louie, early, and so I was happy that you said this because he was an underrated cornerback that they have, and he got signed by the Niners, and he's gone. And so then I'll go backwards up the list. Best game, I had the game at the Giants on December 8th, week 14. This is one of those games I said that like could go either way. You're on the road at the Giants. The Giants aren't a team that should be scaring anyone, and you got to be able to get a road win at some point, right? That seems like a team, hopefully. My hot take. I guess I should have probably said the record. I had 5-12 is the record. One game better than Lamb, but not necessarily a better team than Lamb. I think that my hot take is this team is going to win a game or two late, well after they're eliminated, to push them outside of like the top 5 for draft spot. I think the Panthers are going to be even worse. Isaac Yiadom broke my heart when he signed with the Niners. He was part of the special teams unit, so I'll be corner.
If the best player your team lost is this guy
One
and it
never-
breaks your heart, and then we have you going 5-12, I think your pain might be eternal.
And so
Recipe, brother.
And so
We'll
my
play
most polarizing player is the last one on here. Lamb said Alvin Kamara, and I think mine here is just kind of a overall summation of the running back room in general. Kendre Miller, they drafted this guy, and he was hurt a lot of last year, and maybe it's a little unfair for me to be putting him in here. But when you also got Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams, who I know is older, but has proven in recent years that he's still got a little bit left in the tank. Like, what is this guy's role? I just feel like there's so many question marks all over this roster and who this team is. What are they doing? And yeah, they've been in a terrible cap situation for the better part of recent memory here. So, and I don't feel like there's really anything to be excited about here. Like bringing in Derek Carr when he's past his prime, and like I don't know what to say. I don't really have anything positive to say about this team.
Yeah, it is tough. You want to lead us in on Falcons, or you want me to go next?
Yeah, I can run it with Falcons. So yeah, I alluded to it earlier with my Bucks prediction. I've got them at 10-7. My hot take is I've got them winning this division, not the way that Tyler has them winning this division. I have them edging the Bucks on like the divisional record. I think these teams split. I feel like a lot of the time these teams win away for whatever reason. Like the Falcons will win here at Ray J, and the Bucks will win at Mercedes-Benz. I feel like that could happen. I don't know why. It's just like that. And I feel like I'm telling you, I think that Panthers game is a real trap game for the Bucks at the end of the year, and I think that's going to be the one that really costs them the division. Most polarizing player, I was split between Rondale Moore, who they traded for, who I've heard all kinds of things about, and how he's like the perfect type of kind of slot wide receiver, but just didn't really get to see it in Arizona because of the quarterback injuries that they've had the last couple of years. And Bijan Robinson, which I mean is again second year running back, who was touted as one of the or best talents in the draft last year, and we did not see much of it at all. Arthur Smith is gone. This guy's got to come out and put the whole league on notice. That's what's expected. Best game on the schedule, I liked Seattle at Atlanta on October 20th, week 7. That's like one of those games between kind of like maybe up and coming NFC teams. I'm not sure who you guys are exactly, and that's kind of like we're past September football. We're at the end of October football, getting into November football. Usually week 7, week 8, we really kind of start to know who teams are, and that's going to be like one of those games that tell us a lot about both Seattle and Atlanta. Biggest departure, the first one I said jokingly was their tight end 1, Jonnu Smith. And the actual one is Matt Collins for these Buffalo Bills over here. He's not like a wide receiver name that you see kind of jump off the screen, but he's like a big body guy and does like a lot of the dirty work. Great blocker.
You might say he's a Big Mac.
Yeah, Big Mac works.
Louie has been cooking all day. But so I think Matt Collins is going to have a very unexpectedly productive year for the Bills, and it's going to be like one of those players you see that left like for kind of a mid price, and you're like, maybe we could have got the deal done there. So that's why I'm going to go with Matt Collins, and I'm a homer, and I like to support my narrative.
I was going to say I feel like your Bills bias is showing, but also I kind of love this pick. Like, we'll allow it. I'm not going to give you grief for that.
I gave objective reasons why.
I feel like the reasoning's sound.
Yeah.
You feel up to go next, Tyler?
Yeah, I can do it. So I actually have the Falcons.
Super Bowl champions.
not that far. No, I do have the Falcons going 13-4 though. This is an extremely favorable schedule for them. Their first 3 games aren't fantastic. I actually have them going 0-3 and 13-1 over the next 14 weeks. I just look at the teams that they're playing, and this team should be able to beat pretty much everybody on their schedule, other than like Philly, KC. I put Pittsburgh winning just because that's something Pittsburgh does in week one for random reasons. They'll beat a team that turns out to be really good. And this kind of ties into my hot take. I think the Falcons actually get the 1 seed in the NFC. I think some of those other teams, I think the San Franciscos, the Dallas, the Phillies, I think they take a slight step back record-wise, and I think that the Falcons are kind of on the rise. They have a good defense. They have elite weapons pretty much all over the field, and now they actually have a head coach who's innovative in an offensive mind, or not a head coach, but they have that McVay offensive mindset now, and arguably more talented players with higher potential than what McVay has on his roster right now. My most polarizing player is Michael Penix. How could it not be? He's a top 10 pick who's probably not going to play because their quarterback's getting $40 million a year. And the second that coming off an Achilles at 35, the second that something starts going wrong, Atlanta fans are going to call for the Penix to start. And that could cause some weird things. So yeah, he's my most polarizing player. And my game of the year is Falcons at Minnesota. Obvious revenge game for Kirk Cousins. My biggest departure is, and I quote, "Fuck Arthur Smith."
You just don't see the
They'll
vision.
love that on the Atlanta radio.
I'm sure.
They
That
will.
was for you guys.
You don't
That was
see
for
the
you guys.
vision. Because you want to know what's going to happen, Falcons fans? Listen close. They're only playing Michael Penix in primetime games. You got Kirk Thuggins all your regular season, and then the only place he can't play is in the limelight. Bam! That's where Michael Penix plays. And that's what you do for 3 years. Easy. It makes sense.
That's genius.
All right. I've got the Falcons going 11-6, 12-5. I kind of went back and forth here. I like their schedule. I think it's pretty favorable. My most polarizing player is Kyle Pitts. He has had a good career. I think he's overhated on a lot. He was touted as a generational prospect coming out. 8th overall. I think that's the highest a tight end has ever gone. I might be wrong on that, but it was definitely the highest he's gone in the last 15, 20 years or something. It's been a long time. So I think he needs to live up to that capacity. I would love to see him have a 1,350, 1,400 yard season with double-digit touchdowns. I mean, I'd love to see them scheme him open, let him run after the catch, and be the physical unicorn that he can be. But I think if he doesn't put up 1,000 yards this season in a good offensive scheme, then we're going to be like, what's wrong with Kyle Pitts? My hot take is that Kirk Cousins plays the most efficient ball of his career and puts up his best completion percentage of his career, along with yards per throw and things like that. Some of those metrics that they look at for MVP candidates. And I think that we're going to see Kirk in the MVP debate, kind of like he's been maybe in the last couple of years, maybe with a little more steam. My other hot take is that I think Bijan Robinson underwhelms in what I'm anticipating being a pass-heavy offense. And I think the name recognition of Bijan Robinson is going to keep more attention on him, which is going to free up a lot of guys like Kyle Pitts, like their wide receiver 2 and 3. And I think you're going to see that this offense feeds a lot of mouths, but doesn't have a lot of superstars. And I think Bijan suffers a little from that. I know that is a very unpopular opinion. But I felt like I went too mild with my takes last week. So I'm trying to turn the dial a little bit. So I think he's under 1,000 rushing yards on the season. And then my biggest departure, I went ahead and put Jeff Okudah here. I'm also going to be a little bit of a homer. I don't know that he's going to play super well on the Texans. I don't know how that scheme's going to translate, but I went back and looked at the stats, and I feel like he played pretty well for the Falcons last year. I think AJ Terrell, when he's on, is on. When he's off, is not that good. And I think having a bit of a really athletic kind of catch a guy presence in Okuda as a 2 was good. So I think they're going to miss him maybe a little more than some of the other guys that left. But they retained most of their players, so I don't think it's a huge loss. And the best game I have on the Falcons schedule, it was kind of hard to pick one. There's just a lot of games that I feel like have the potential to be really good. Obviously, my revenge game is gone. So I'm going to say I think Falcons Seahawks is maybe a game that I have circled. I think you've got 2 premier running backs, 2 really good wide receiver cores. And it's going to be what I think is going to be an ascending defensive rookie head coach versus an ascending offensive focused head coach. I mean, the Falcons head coach, I wouldn't really call offensive, but he brought in a lot of offensive pieces. So I think they're focusing more on that side. So I think that'll be a good game to kind of, where do we rank these head coaches moving forward in the league? And then moving on to the Panthers, I'll start. I actually find this number really, the more I look at it, seems unlikely. But I have the Panthers going 8-9 this year. They have a very easy schedule, in my opinion. And I think they have the room and they've made the moves to at least show some improvement. And I think Bryce Young's going to have a big rebound year. My most polarizing player is Ike Ekwonu. He has not played up to his very lofty draft position from a couple years ago at tackle. And I think he needs to have a really good season in order for this team to have a really good season. And if they want to do anything other than be a flash in the pan, I think they have to figure out what's wrong with him and why he can't perform at the next level. So he's my most polarizing player. Like, you're on the blind side of a small quarterback. They upgraded the guard positions. I think the spotlight, if stuff's wrong with that line, it's good. They're going to be looking at left tackle. My hot take is that Jonathan Brooks comes in second for rookie of the year, even though he doesn't start until week 5 or 6. I still think he finishes second odds, almost wins rookie of the year. I think they start out really slow, and he's like the missing piece to this offense. And when he comes in and they've had a lot of chances to throw the ball and they've kind of gotten in rhythm, the addition of his efficiency and explosiveness on the ground is going to help them get over the hump and start winning some games on the back half of the season. And then my other hot take is that Canales wins coach of the year. If he comes in and revitalizes Bryce Young and this team looks any semblance of respectable and Bryce has a good season, I don't know how you don't give it to him. And then the player they're going to miss most is, I don't know why I didn't write his name down. It's the
linebacker.
The linebacker from his name's going to come to me.
I know who you're talking about.
One went to the Commanders. Hang on. I'm going to bring it up because it's going to bother me if I don't.
We got time.
Somebody else go, and I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to find this.
All right, I'll go. I'll start with the same topic you're on, biggest departure. Same one that Lamb has, because he's one of the best players in the NFL, and it's Brian Burns.
Hang on. Frankie Louvu is the name of the
There we go.
Yeah, that's a good one, too. But, yeah, Brian Burns, we've talked about the trade that they passed on with the Rams a number of times on the show over the last year and a half or so, and it's worth talking about again, because this one, the writing was on the wall for a long time, and I don't know. This is just another example of like bad franchises getting in their own way, if I'm being frank. So record here, I am not as optimistic as Louie. I have them at 3-14, and as one of the worst teams in the NFL. I was going through this roster and deciding like who is the most polarizing player, and there were probably like 3 or 4 people I could have chosen. The one that I landed on was Miles Sanders, kind of for what Louie was talking about, Jonathan Brooks coming in here and being pretty clearly the running back of the future here. And then you've also got Chuba Hubbard, who's not too bad in his own right. And Miles Sanders is just, they gave a big contract to. He was real good with Philly, and I had high hopes for him. And this guy, if he doesn't produce early, I don't know what this guy has got left in his career, honestly.
Yeah, if Jonathan Brooks is back earlier than expected, like if he's back by week 3 and Miles Sanders, like the only way that happens to me is if Miles Sanders is just abysmal.
Mm-hmm.
I think if
like
they get
he was last year,
like he was last year. I mean, yeah, and he's a year older. He's on the wrong end of that spectrum to me. Like it's not like, oh, he's a year older, he's developed more, he's going to get better. Like, no, running backs, you're on the down slope now. You're a year older, you're less explosive, your legs have more wear and tear.
His best season's behind him for sure.
It's so funny because this felt almost reverse of what happened with Mike Davis leaving the Panthers, getting onto the Falcons, and then they did it with Miles Sanders. So
that's a good analogy, like that one.
Karma.
Just moving on to my hot take. So yeah, I had 3-14 as the record. I have all 3 of their wins coming in a row mid-season, basically doing the opposite of what the Bills have done the last few years, where they win, lose, win. This team's going to lose, win, lose. And yeah, they have 3 in a row at Denver versus the Aints at home versus the Giants at home. And I think like those are 3 winnable games. And going through the rest of their schedule, there were none that I felt confident picking them to win.
Do you think that makes them the worst team in the NFL, or do you have a team that'll finish worse than that?
Quite possibly. I mean, I think you take your pick between the Panthers, the Giants, and the Patriots as the bottom 3 teams right now. And
I like the Raiders or the Broncos. Like, wow, what a fucking total.
I'm just being honest with you, brother. I like him, but you didn't let me finish my next thing, which was that I like the quarterback situation of the Patriots the best of those 3 teams.
Who'd you take right now? Daniel Jones for a stupid amount of money, or a rookie quarterback with some promise?
A rookie quarterback with some promise. So yeah, I'll give it to the Giants. I will happily take Bryce Young on a rookie contract over the Dan Chais.
Danny dropped all his dimes.
Yep.
No, Danny got all the dimes.
And his quarters and his nickels and whatever. Anyways, best game on the schedule here. I liked the look of the game at Chicago on October 6th. It's a week 5-er. And so we got, year 2 Bryce Young with a hopefully proper system for him to work in versus Caleb Williams in this Bears offense, which should be, at least on paper, one of the best situations rookie QBs ever walked into. So that should be an interesting one, at least on paper. And I would like to think Chicago could win that at home. But yeah, and I already told you Brian Burns. So yeah, we're on the lamp.
Word. I have the Panthers going 6-11. Kind of middle grounding between the 2 of you guys. I think there are some winnable games on the schedule. I do think that they've improved. So I think they're going to find ways to eke out some wins, which might go poorly for them because it might mess up their draft positioning. But my most polarizing player for this team is Deontay Johnson. They traded for him, trying to use him as a number 1 receiver for Bryce Young. I think that Thielen and Leggett are good auxiliary pieces, and Johnson should be able to earn targets at a pretty high rate. He's averaged about 9 targets per year over the last 3 years. I think he could possibly get more than that on this offense. Then my hot take is that Jonathan Brooks and Jatavion Sanders both have top 20 fantasy seasons, even though Bryce Young will finish outside the top 25. Yeah, I have him as my QB 30 right now.
No, brother. So many of my fantasy teams need that not to happen.
That was your own damn fault.
That's a you problem, brother.
Look, brother, it's buy low, and it don't get any lower than where he's going right now.
Yeah, but like some of those teams, I know you're relying on him to be your QB too. Like,
no, he's my QB3 in most of them.
The best game on the schedule is Panthers versus Cardinals to me, week 16.
That was a good one too.
Dude, I forgot to give it's my best game too, but tell me why it's your best game.
The Panthers could be having a decent offensive year, and then their defense is going to suck because they got rid of all their pass rushers last year, and Arizona is going to come in. I don't think they have a fantastic defense. They're still building, so I think this might be like a low-key, like, kind of shootout type of game late in the season. I just think it's like one of them. It might be fun, like Kyler versus Bryce Young. And then, Brian Burns is the player that, like, it hurts them the most leaving. But Frankie Louvu and Brian Burns, like, bro, like, where's your pass rush coming? I know you signed Derek Brown to a big extension, but, like, he's not really a – yeah, bro.
Yeah, they had a number of guys on the roster that I didn't know were still in the NFL when I was going through the roster. Everyone was one of them. Andy Dalton was another one. They have a cornerback named Lamar Jackson, and they have a quarterback named Jake Plummer.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah, I have this game listed as my best game of their season as well.
Dog Millionaire.
And it's titled "Let's Go Shotties." So.
Oh man,
I love the itty bitty QBs.
So that about wraps it up for our divisional deep dive for the NFC South. We still have 3 more weeks of this. We're going to do the North next week, the West, and then the East. We'll finish up with the East. I think that's a good plan.
Saving the worst for last.
Yeah, exactly. Saving all the scumbag.
Spoiler alert, I have the Cowboys going 17-0. So
Super Bowl losing in the first round.
Dare I say it's their year?
Yeah, go Birds. I hope those birds just fucking dive into the ocean later.
Y'all are not ready for how spicy that division's going to be for me because I got some wild takes already locked and loaded.
I might purposely put them all at like 2-50 and just to piss people off.
Everybody's losing. Nobody wins.
Nobody has winning record in this division.
They couldn't all go 2-15 because there's a bunch of divisional games.
3-14. They could all go 3-14.
Yeah, there you go. I was gonna say
that would be hilarious.
They're all ties.
Man, that would be
they split with each other and then go defeated. That's the dream scenario. Anyways,
we have a couple minutes still. I know you're probably wanting to get off a little early here, Tyler.
Yeah,
but I want to ask, like, we're talking about Bryce Young and, like, obviously a very polarizing quarterback. Like, what do you guys see for Bryce Young if this year is not significantly better than last year?
I mean, I see them trying to shop him. I mean, he's still in a rookie deal. Maybe they don't. And maybe you give him another year because you don't have that many more options. Then what are you looking at? Bringing in a veteran or drafting another one?
I think he might, like, if he doesn't perform significantly this year, he could be cooked. But since the Panthers are the Panthers, he's going to stay right where he is, right until they have contract.
Yeah.
I can't trust anything they do, unfortunately. So I do think he's going to perform better on the field. I don't necessarily believe it's going to turn out to a massive, like, production. But I do think he's going to at least look better with better weapons and a better line and a better offensive system. I am actually going to head off because I feel horrible. So
appreciate you guys want to brother.
Yeah, if you guys want to keep talking for a little bit, feel free.
We're good. We can finish it here.
Yeah.
Word.
we're gonna go and
right.
hop off early here tonight, guys, since our fearless leader's feeling a little under the weather. But one more time I want to plug. We got more people in here. We are doing a giveaway of the new EA game that comes out later this month. Giveaway ends on the 16th, so you have 1 week. Go check out Stadium Rant Social, both Twitter and Instagram. There's instructions on both for how to enter. We're going to pick somebody. So if you want a chance to win the new game for free, then make sure and check us out on social. And as always, guys, we'll be here.
And a jersey of your choice, NFL or pro.
And a jersey of your choice. So if you really want to get a Jake Plummer jersey, you have to enter. We will make one. If
college or pro.
College All right, guys. Wow. Go check out StadiumRant.com.
Yeah.
Great articles.
Yeah, there's articles, there's other videos and stuff. So make sure you check us out, guys, and have a great night.